The gist of it is you're really trying to understand how to get to the answers that you want, but you can't just treat it like your typical Google search.
Originating from deep inside the Rocky Mountains, transported through the power of the internet, and arriving inside your tiny earbuds. It's the Appraiser Coach podcast, helping appraisers increase their efficiency, quality, and make more money. Here's the guy who makes it his life's mission to create value for real estate appraisers nationwide. Your host and the Appraiser Coach, Dustin Harris.
Folks, I've really been enjoying the AI workshops that I've been doing across the nation. By the time this episode airs, I think I will be done with the last, at least currently scheduled AI workshop. But look on my website, TheAppraiserCoach.com, for more. These have been very popular. We may have more dates and more places available. This is a one-day workshop where we are talking AI. And one of the questions that came up recently was, what is an agent and how does it work? I want to share with you my favorite agent and what it does here today. But first, I want to pause and remind you that we are sponsored by some great companies, including Working RE magazine. Working RE, of course, is the magazine that I go to learn what I need to learn about my business. It's workingre.com. Of course, you can go to truefootage.tech/tools to find out more about how to support your adjustments and the different tools that True Footage has for you to use. No, you do not have to be a member of the True Footage team in order to enjoy these tools. It's truefootage.tech/tools. And finally, we are sponsored by True Home Tracker, the ability to be able to manage your entire office, including all of your orders, your personnel, and all of the automations in the background for appraisers. Find out more by going to my website, theappraisercoach.com, click on products and scroll to the very bottom. It is the True Home Tracker. All right, folks, been traveling the nation, been a couple of different places. We've been to Atlanta. By the time this airs, we will have been in Dallas. We will have been in Vegas and others, where I basically take a group of, say, 10 to 15 appraisers in a room, typically a boardroom, at a hotel, usually by the airport. We try to make it as convenient as possible. And we start early in the morning, we break for lunch, we come back in the afternoon, and we are talking AI. We are talking artificial intelligence, really digging into the how-to. So if you can imagine, this is me with this group of appraisers, but I've got my laptop in front of me. Behind me is a smart TV or a projector or something of that nature so that you can see what I'm doing on my computer. And folks, we dig in. We get into ChatGPT, and not just ChatGPT as you know it, but the tools inside ChatGPT, the different models, the different things that you can do with ChatGPT. We're talking business development stuff. We're talking how to utilize LLMs these are large language models for your appraisal work, how to really dig in and understand how this can be a tool in being a better appraiser. But not just that, also how to be a better appraiser business owner. See, we spend a lot of time, folks, talking about how to develop your business, and we even go so far as to talk about how to develop your life, your family relationships, your other dynamics that you're dealing with, your health, how to utilize AI to better your life in all aspects. And we get into all kinds of large language models, including ChatGPT, Grok, Gemini. We get into some small language models such as Notebook LM. And recently we've been getting into agents. Agents are kind of new to the scene, if you will. New meaning newish. They've not been out a long time, but the gist of it, the basic difference between an LLM, a large language model, and an agent is a large language model is about data and answers. Okay, so think of it this way. It's kind of, and I hesitate using this analogy because this is where most people get tripped up. It's kind of like Google on steroids, but it's not like Google in the sense that you can't just give it a question and expect the right answer to come to you, right? In fact, we talk a lot about that in the AI workshop. We're talking about how to prompt. Some people call it prompt engineering. I know that that's a term that kind of gets overused, but the gist of it is you're really trying to understand how to get to the answers that you want, but you can't just treat it like your typical Google search, right? You can't just ask it a question and expect the answer in the format, in the way that you want it back. And so we get into that. During the AI workshop, we dig deep and I show you wrong ways and right ways and how to iterate and how to go deeper and how to cross check your work, right? So you take one LLM, you get an answer. You take a second LLM, you get an answer. You compare the two and find out what the actual answer is. By the way, side note, Grok 4 just came out as of this recording. It is mind blowing, folks. Like I cannot overemphasize. I be honest with you, full disclosure, I've not been in ChatGPT much lately. Now, ChatGPT 5 is supposed to drop and probably will before this airs. And maybe that will blow Grok 4 out of the water. But right now, right now, I have ChatGPT 4 and Grok 4. And I will tell you something, folks, Grok 4 is light years ahead. And the reason I bring this up is as we talk about cross pollinating or cross checking your answers, one of the things that Grok 4 will do is it will go out kind of simultaneously four different directions, for example, get four different answers. And when they come back, they'll cross check each other. And they won't just go with the majority rules. In other words, let's say that four answers come back, three of them are the same and one is different. They won't just say, well, 3 out of 4 wins, right? So that's the one we're going to give. No, they will check with the fourth one and see why that one is different. And sometimes all three of them will change their mind. I know that sounds crazy to say when we're talking about computers, but three of them might change their mind and say, actually, all three of us were wrong. Here's why we were wrong. And you don't see all of this. This happens in the background. But the fourth one will be the right answer. And so all of them will change their mind and say, yep, no, that's actually the right answer. That's how powerful Grok 4 and other AI LLMs are. But the question is, what is an agent? How is that different? And the gist of it is, think of it like a virtual assistant robot. Okay, when I say robot, I'm talking about a machine, not necessarily with arms and legs, because there's that too, right? That's out there, that's growing. Optimus is coming, but this is different. Okay, we are talking about the ability to be able to have it do things. Okay, the example that I give is I used an agent recently to plan a trip to Boston. My wife has always wanted to go to Boston, and I bought her tickets for her 50th birthday. And we are going to Boston. In fact, by the time this airs, we probably will be in Boston or somewhere around there. Can't wait. She's never been. I've never been. And I didn't want to plan the whole damn thing. So what did I do? I used an AI agent and said, here's our criteria. Here's what we want to do. Here's what we don't want to do. Here's our budget. Here's where we want to stay. Here's where we don't want to stay. Here's the type of things that we like. I want to know, what tickets I need to get in advance versus what I can do at the door. You're like, I put all this criteria in there, folks. I let it do its thing. 20 minutes later, it came back with everything that I needed to know about a trip to Boston. Now, agents are so powerful, actually, that they can, if you authorize them to, and this is one of the biggest challenges with AI agents right now is the quote unquote firewalls. Okay. So, passwords, usernames, CAPTCHAs, those things will often stop the agent. But if you didn't have those in the way, it could literally go out and book the airline tickets, could book the hotel rooms, could book the reservations to the different events that we're going to. It has the power to do that. It does not necessarily have the ability to do that because of privacy issues. Now, some of you that might scare you and say, well, Dustin, why would you want it to be able to get your credit card and go buy stuff? I get it. I understand, right? I think we need to be cautious, but I'm just trying to give you examples of how powerful these agents are. When we get back from the break, I want to share with you my favorite agent and why. First, I want to pause and remind you of a couple sponsors here. First of is True Home Tracker, new sponsor here at the Appraiser Coach podcast. And folks, we've sold a lot of these. And in every single case, we have had not just satisfaction, but high reviews. In fact, you can see some of those reviews on my website. If you go to theappraisercoach.com, scroll to the bottom of the products page, and you can click on True Home Tracker, and you can see some of those. None of them are made up, folks. These are real people who are real customers who have just nothing but the best to say about True Home Tracker. Folks, it is the ability for you to replace a now at minimum, okay? But really replace so many systems, and I'm even going so far as to say replace people in your office, okay? Because of the power of this system and the automations that if this, then this, folks, check it out. Check out the videos and then reach out to me if you have any questions. It's True Home Tracker at theappraisercoach.com. Speaking of True Footage has some great products out there. By the way, True Home Tracker has nothing to do with True Footage. It's spelled different. It existed before True Footage even existed, the name anyway. Totally different thing. I can see why people get confused on it, but truefootage.tech, folks, /tools has the most amazing tools out there for supporting your adjustments. If you are in need, and who isn't, of supporting what you do as an appraiser and making it easy to understand and easy to portray, truefootage.tech/tools is where you need to be. Finally, we are sponsored by Working RE Magazine, where I go to get my news and resources when it comes to what's going on in the appraisal world. Check them out. Sign up for their blog. It is workingre.com. All right, folks, welcome back to the program. Dustin Harris hanging out once again in the podcast chair, talking to you today about agents, AI agents. Many of you have not even been really deep into ChatGPT yet. Now, that's what these workshops that I've been doing are all about. And they've been fun. By the way, I did at least one corporate event as well, where I did an all-day AI training specifically for one of the offices of somebody who's a member of my mastermind. I hesitate saying reach out if you're interested in that because it's not really a product I'm offering. But if you are a member of the mastermind, I might consider it for you within your office. This is not a widespread thing, but really had a lot of fun doing that one. So one of the things we've been talking about, of course, is agents. And the reason we've been doing these workshops is because most people are using things like ChatGPT, kind of like Google, as we talked about earlier. They prompt, they think that they're going to get the right answer, and they get frustrated because they can't really get there. And really, the workshop kind of breaks through that noise and helps you to kind of pole vault into really getting true answers and really getting tools that work. So I'll give you an example. One of the things that I do in the workshop is show how to find an adjustment. The example that I've been using is a waterfront. This is a real life example that I used. I had a waterfront property and I needed to find out what the difference was between being on the water up against a river and not. Everything else equal, what is the adjustment? Folks, I cannot tell you how easy it is to do that. And I walk everybody in the workshop through. Within 5 minutes, we had supportable adjustments. And I've done this over and over and over again. And I've done it with different models, and it comes up with basically the same answer each time if you do it right. So we're talking about tools that actually work. Now, agent is a little bit different, where it can actually go out and do stuff, right? And my favorite agent is Manus. Manus. It's a little bit more expensive than some of the other agents out there. But folks, I'm telling you, it is nothing short of mind-blowing. It is nothing short of powerful. It is nothing short of, it's amazing from top to bottom. I cannot oversell it, my friends, because it is absolutely blow your mind power. By the way, I've been using Manus more and more and more because what I'm finding is a lot of the stuff that I used to use with ChatGPT, I really need an agent for. Okay, I really need somebody or something in this case that can actually go out and do stuff. Okay, now by the time you get this podcast, ChatGPT agent will be out. As of this recording, it's people are already talking about ChatGPT agent. Okay, and I started to go deep dive because I wanted to try it out. Maybe it's as good as Manus, and I couldn't find it on my ChatGPT. By the way, I'm a plus user, so I pay for ChatGPT. I should have access to it. Well, come to find out, they are rolling this out over the next 24 to 72 hours. Okay, so I'm a little bit premature. By the time you get this recording, ChatGPT agent will be out. Now, maybe it will be improved when you get it, but the reviews so far are that Manus is still the best when it comes to agent. Again, maybe OpenAI, ChatGPT will get better over time. And it's not that much different, but I'm used to using Manus and I think it's very powerful. Now, just for economics, it might be better that I don't pay for Manus in the future over ChatGPT agent if it is comparable. But right now, I absolutely think that every penny is worth it for what I'm paying for Manus and the ability for it to be able to go out and actually do stuff, right? Actually complete things. I'll just give you an example, okay? Yesterday, I was looking to get my car detailed. It's been a while since I've done it and I wanted to get it done. And I started down the path that all of us go down, where you Google and you look at reviews and you try to filter through the ads and everything else that comes up. And I thought, what am I doing? I'm out there teaching AI and I'm not using AI. Come on, Dustin, don't be a dork. Now, I didn't want to just go to ChatGPT and say, who's the best detailer? Okay. But I did go to Manus, and this is what I said. I need to get 2 of my cars detailed inside and out. I live in blank. And I would like to schedule someone who can pick up the cars and drop them off one at a time or come and do it mobily. I want someone who is highly rated and cost effective. Folks, I didn't even have to read past the first couple of lines. When it came back, in fact, I'll just tell you how long it looked for. It did work for, this is not instant, okay? These things take a bit. According to this, 13 minutes. So it worked on this for 13 minutes. It went out and just did all kinds of research and it came back and it basically said, okay, here it is. Here's your answer. And it gave me the answer and I tried the first one on the top. It was a family-owned 5-star service, 100% satisfaction guarantee, 100% mobile. Gave me their phone number, their website, why they recommend, the price for 2 cars, gave me detailed prices, and it was exactly right on, by the way. A lot of these things don't even give you the prices. It told me, what to expect, blah, 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 blah. And then it gave me the next one and the next one. And I could have done others, right? But I went with the top one, and they just got done today, and I am blown away. They were spot on in price. They were spot on in service. They were wonderful to work with. Folks, saved me, 13 minutes, probably more than that, but it saved me time going out and finding. This is an example of what an agent can do that, frankly, ChatGPT alone, it would take some real iteration to get there. Folks, try it out. Manus is the way to look at it. Is the thing. In my suggestion, you ought to try out. I think it's powerful. I think it's wonderful. Agents are changing the way that we do business. Thank you for joining me today, folks. I truly appreciate it, and go create some value.
You've been listening to the Appraiser Coach podcast with Dustin Harris. If you like what you hear, please give us a 5-star rating and post a short review on iTunes. For more in-depth insider information on how you can make more money as a real estate appraiser, visit TheAppraiserCoach.com and sign up for the All-Star team today. Thanks for joining us. And now, get out there and create some value.